Good evening, family. Today, we are keeping up with Congress, y'all. Come on in, family. Today is what, Tuesday, February the 9th. Yes, we keep going, and we are going to continue to keep our eyes on Congress, y'all. Good evening, family. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please spread the word. There's a lot going on, and we cannot just continue to go to these polls and just vote. What we got to do? We got to hold them accountable. We got to look for the opportunities. Where's the money? Who is it going to? And how do we get some of it, y'all? We are not playing. So I have shared my screen. As always, this is brought to you by Withhold the Vote, where we are holding our elected officials and our candidates accountable, and we are harnessing our political power. So let's get this party started. Let me go to our first article, y'all. I'm always looking for reparations information. Reparations. I keep a track on what's going on with reparations, y'all. I am not playing. I found this article quite interesting. This is actually in Canada, but I figured we could, have some international news. Get my screen squared away right here. Let's close this out. Plans for the new McKay Bridge sparked renewed calls for Africaville reparations. Y'all, I didn't know there was an Africaville in Canada, right? As Halifax Harbor Bridge looks at replacing the McKay Bridge, a former resident of Africaville says any plan going forward must include reparations for the destruction of the historic Black community. Irvine Carvey lived in the community along the Bedford Basin when the bridge was first being built in the 1960s. Africaville was eventually demolished and its residents were relocated to make room for the bridge. Yep, always in our neighborhood, right? Oh, there have long been calls for the land to be returned to former residents and descendants of the community and for reparations to be paid. We should be receiving revenue from the bridge, for the current bridge that is there, and for all the years it's been there, Carver said. That infrastructure has generated lots of wealth, and yet nothing, not a penny has come back to the people of Africaville. So any new development on Africaville lands would absolutely have to include some form of reparations, y'all. Reparations in Canada. We are not playing. I'm telling you, these 400 years, it's over. It is time for this world, America, Canada, all these countries to pay up. Hey, Don, good evening. It says hundreds of people live in Africaville, and more than a century before the land was expropriated by the city in the 1960s. In 2010, former residents and their descendants received an apology and $3 million from the city, 1 hectare of land, and a replica church, which is now a National Historic Site. Pay these people. He hopes to see some kind of mixed-use housing development on the land in the next 10 years. The people of Africaville would have first dibs, but then it would open up to everybody in the city to assist with affordable housing. Y'all, I hate those words together. Affordable housing. Give us our land. Cut the check. Give us what you owe us. It's a debt. Affordable housing. No, we want to own it. To assist with the affordable housing problem that we have here. It goes on to say there are about 12 hectares of undeveloped land on the site right now, and he believes a housing development and a new bridge could coexist. And I think about a housing development and a bridge. Let's talk about environmental justice, y'all. Let's talk about air pollution. How clean is this air going to be with these people living next to this bridge? No, I don't want you to coexist. Give these people back their land. Goes on to say, now's the time before any decisions are made to open discussions around the impact of what it would like to the lands of Africaville. Yeah, give these people their land. Let's stop playing. Africaville in Canada, y'all. Never knew it even existed. Found this today. Ice Cube, y'all. Ice Cube is in the house. He said we got to have them rapping about reparations. It's sad that is what it takes for us as a people. We got to sing, dance. We got to be entertained in order to get the message. Yeah. But Ice Cube said we got to get them rapping. It's in a radio interview, the rapper and actor said that Biden's team had reached out to him and that plans are in motion for a White House visit later this month. So yeah, we've all been hearing about Ice Cube and his work with his contract for Black America. So let's see how far this goes. If it takes Ice Cube, whoever it takes, whatever it takes, reparations is due and reparations is now. Thank you, Ice Cube. What else we got going? Oh. So here's an article I found. I figured you would find this quite interesting. Absolution through reparations. I don't know who this man is, but I just wanted to bring you his thoughts. If anything, underscores how mainline Christian churches in this country have strayed from their mission. It is their embrace of demands by racial activists for monetary reparations for Black slavery. Episcopalians, as befits their guilt-ridden souls, once again have taken the lead in this misguided mission. Y'all, he ain't for reparations at all. And remember how I told you probably about a week ago, we was talking about the Memorial Episcopal Church in Baltimore that voted to set aside $500,000 over the next 5 years for justice-centered work as an atonement for the church's role in slavery and related justices. We talked about that, so you guys know about that. Here he goes on to say, such extractions are economically predatory, politically divisive, legally unconstitutional, and morally reprehensible. He does not want us to get our reparations. They rest on the false premise that if an individual belongs to a race that has done bad things and what race hasn't, then he or she must assume guilt and compensate the victims. Such is a consequence of the widespread and growing view in our society that social equality matters more than property rights or rule of law. He don't want us to get our reparations, y'all. He goes on to say, reparations, put bluntly, are shakedowns. Are we shaking people down? Okay. The fact that all the slaves and slave owners in this country are long deceased does not matter to advocates, convinced that white wealth rests on an edifice of theft of Black labor. It does. These paladins of racial justice ignore many historical considerations that undercut their claims. For example, Blacks, y'all, I take offense to the word Blacks with that S on the end. Blacks themselves own Black slaves, especially in Louisiana and South Carolina. Many Indian tribes, including the Cherokee, also own Blacks. Whites, though classified as indentured servants, functionally were slaves. They weren't property though, damn it. Get it right. The vast majority of African slaves transported to the Western Hemisphere were not destined for any of the 13 American colonies. And most African blacks again, y'all, brought to the New World already had been owned by other Blacks in Africa. I thought this was interesting, y'all, just to hear how they're thinking and what they, how they believe we shouldn't get our reparations, y'all. I just figured I'd bring it to you. I actually kind of researched him a little bit more to go a little further. I just like, okay, who is he? He was saying he wrote something called Slavery Reparations, Revival of a Bad Idea. And he goes on to mention the 1619 Project. I just found him like interesting. I just kept kind of researching this man. Whites, in this view, enjoy unearned economic privileges and thus have an obligation to make amends by handing over their wealth to their property owners. In other words, whites are born guilty. No individual can escape the judgment of history. Yo, this man is not happy. They will not admit that less than 4% of all African slaves transported by slave traders were brought to mainland North America. Nor will they admit that many, if not most, slaves in American colonies during the 17th century were whites, whatever. They cannot handle the fact that many American blacks themselves were slave owners, or that various Indian tribes also owned black slaves. They gloss over the reality that virtually all black slaves brought to America already were owned by blacks in Africa. Nor can they be bothered with the fact that slavery prevails in many American countries today. Y'all, he was a trip, but I go on to read. Slavery reparations, if instituted, would be economically predatory, historically blind, politically divisive, legally unconstitutional, and morally repellent. Far from bringing our nation together, it would divide us as never before. We meet these demands at our own peril. Y'all, I'll stop. He goes from bad to worse, but I just kept researching him. I was like, who is he? Yeah, this is the talk, y'all. But again, reparations, y'all. I just keep researching it. What's going on? Here's Michelle Johnson, Reparations Scholarship from Social and Economic Studies. She goes on to talk about chattel slavery, y'all, and using that word. So legally categorized as chattel, which is movable, inheritable property. The enslaved peoples across the entire hemisphere provided an enormous amount of unpaid labor in every possible aspect of economic activity. It was upon their backs that industries were built from which they did not benefit. It was their hands that constructed the impressive legislative building wherein laws were crafted for their subjugation. It was they and their children, to whom they had no legal claim, who created the musical, culinary, and incredibly creative cultures that their oppressors would initially try to silence and then exploit. Yes, reparations, y'all. We know our history. They know our history too. So I just, like I said, so I found another interesting article. We'll get to keeping up with Congress, guys. We got a bunch of bills, but I couldn't stop looking at reparations today. First, look, the ACLU is to push reparations. Y'all, they pushing reparations, the ACLU. So I thought this was interesting. Okay, maybe we have some support in this movement, okay? The American Civil Liberties Union will announce Tuesday it's embarking upon an aggressive racial justice agenda that includes support for a reparations bill, expanding resources into southern states, and pushing for rural post offices to adopt basic banking services. Why it matters: the 101-year-old ACLU is shifting its emphasis from defending free speech to forcefully tackling systemic racism amid a racial awakening in the U.S. and could provide a jolt to traditional underfunded minority-led organizations. Those key words, minority-led organizations. You got to be mindful. That's like encompassing. It's including. It ain't just those of us who are descendants of slaves. That disturbed me. That's why I got it highlighted red. So it goes on to say the ACLU's national board this month elected civil rights attorney Deborah Archer as its new president, making her the first Black woman to lead the organization, y'all. So I'm like, okay, Black woman to lead this organization. Who is she? So I looked her up on social media. I wanted to know who she was, y'all. ACLU elects a Jamaican-born Deborah Archer as the first Black president in its 100-year history. So she's not a descendant of slavery in America. She's Jamaican-born. And she is their new president. Okay, here we go. People of color make up around 61% of the ACLU's national board. So it's gotten more and more disturbing. Anthony D. Romero, a New York-born son of parents from Puerto Rico, is starting his 20th year as ACLU's executive director. Y'all, and here we go. We know Sheila Jackson Lee is not a descendant of American slavery either. So So I don't know if the ACLU is going to dive in and go in deep enough to help those of us who are descendants of slavery in this country, because their verbiage and their words here don't point in that direction. So we got to be mindful, the ACLU. I was hoping we had some allies, but I don't know what this is. All right. So I looked her up, y'all. One more. I told you I couldn't get off reparations today, but I did. I finally found something. Cash mobs, y'all. I thought this was an interesting approach. Like I said, I'm always looking for some opportunities for us. Cash mobs and other initiatives aim to support Black-owned business in February. So I'm like, what is a cash mob? So to help local businesses who have been impacted, several cash mobs are supporting local businesses. And a cash mob is an international group of people who assemble to support a business financially. The entire community is invited to participate. So say you have a business, and let's say we want to support a certain business. We all get together and say, let's all show up and let's support this business. So I thought this was a great idea. I think this is something that we should initiate, something we could do collectively, find some Black businesses, and we just like all show up and have days where we just kind of really come and support these businesses and give them, the resources that they need. So I thought this was interesting. I found this article today. Finally got off reparations, but whew. All right, so let's dive in. We got a whole bunch of bills to get a grasp of tonight. HR 539 is to amend the Disaster Recovery Reform Act. Let me take myself off the screen, y'all, so y'all. Let me see if I put it back on the screen. Tell me if you can hear me now. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. President Trump, on October 5th, 2018, President Trump signed the Disaster Recovery Reform Act of 2018 into law as part of the Federal Aviation Administration Reauthorization Act of 2018. Y'all, these reforms acknowledge the shared responsibility for disaster response and recovery, and the aim is to reduce the complexity of FEMA and to build the nation's capacity for the next catastrophic event. So yeah, this is some Trump administration. Yes, Representative Graves out of Missouri, Senate HR 539, y'all. HR 540 is to assist states in carrying out projects to expand the child care workforce and child care facilities in the state. So this is some monies that's coming down the pike, y'all, for our daycares, our daycare workers, our child care facilities, after school. Make sure you're in position, y'all. This is HR 540, Representative Harder out of California. HR 541 to provide for a moratorium on federal funding to Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Lots of abortion legislation, y'all, lots of it, more coming. HR 541. HR 542 is to authorize the establishment of an education jobs fund to retain and create education jobs in communities most impacted by COVID-19. So for those of you that have these, you might have a nonprofit, let's be creative here. Like, how can we make sure that this education job fund trickles down to those of you who are entrepreneurs, those of you that want to have, if you're doing something where you can get some of these federal funds. Let's be creative, y'all. Now is the opportune time, because this money is coming, and it's coming to these communities. Make sure you're in position to get some. So this is to authorize the establishment of an education job fund. What about an after-school program? What about a tutoring program to retain and create education jobs in communities most impacted by COVID-19? We know those are our communities. Let's get in position, y'all. Let's not miss opportunities to get some of these federal funds into our communities, into the hands of those of you who will do the right thing. So HR 542, who is this? Representative Hayes out of Connecticut. HR 543, to prohibit the president from issuing a moratoria on leasing and permitting energy and minerals on certain federal lands. Representative Harrell, Republican, New Mexico. Yeah, prohibit the president from issuing a moratorium. Somebody is, maybe President Biden, this is money. Somebody's money is being affected. Leasing and permitting energy and minerals on certain federal lands. Yeah, this is somebody's money, y'all. HR 543. HR 544, to prohibit drilling in the Arctic Ocean. Representative Huffman, Democrat, California, drilling out in the Arctic Ocean. Okay, somebody else's money. Okay, Democrat wants to stop it. Okay, HR 544. HR 545, to amend Title 40, United States Code, to prevent members of Congress and their employees from carrying firearms in the Capitol building. Y'all, these Democrats, see, this is where the Republicans get this thing from, that Democrats gonna take away your guns, because that's exactly what this is, to prevent members of Congress and their employees from carrying firearms in the Capitol building. I get it, it's federal property, we get it, but this is where they can, this is give them here's their argument. You're taking away our guns. Democrat Huffman, Representative Huffman out of California. HR 545. HR 546, to regulate monitoring of electronic communications between an incarcerated person in a Bureau of Prisons facility and that person's attorney or other legal representative. So to regulate monitoring of electronic communication. So is this when they sending them emails? Are these, I know they got some phones in these jails and these prisons. So what is this? You want to regulate the monitoring? Democrat Jeffries out of New York. Interesting. I'm curious to know what this is all about. HR 546. HR 547, to amend the Federal Meat Inspection Act and the Poultry Products Inspection Act to allow for the interstate internet sale of certain state inspected meat and poultry. Oh, y'all, I'm not sure I'm buying my meat online. I don't eat red meat, but I'm not buying my chicken and turkey. I don't think I'm gonna buy it online, but here it is. To allow for the interstate internet sales of certain state inspected meat and poultry. South Dakota, Representative Johnson, y'all. Yeah, I don't know about this one. HR 547. HR 548, to direct the Secretary of Labor to make a determination on whether to approve an occupation as an apprenticeable occupation in a timely manner. So are they taking too long? Representative Kim out of New Jersey. I'm not sure what this means. Make a determination on whether to approve an occupation as an apprenticeable occupation in a timely manner. They must be taking too long. That's the only thing I could think of. Like I said, I would be in Congress asking a whole lot of damn questions. HR 548. HR 549, to amend the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. Y'all, I'm sorry, they just keep texting. But to amend the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 to establish a grant program that will support efforts at the state level to establish anti-bullying task force to study, address, and reduce bullying in elementary and secondary schools. So this is anti-bullying representative, and I tried to pronounce her name, Morthy. Krishna Morthy, representative out of Illinois, HR 549. HR 550, y'all, to amend the Public Health Service Act with respect to immunization system data modernization and expansion. Okay, are they updating the system, upgrading the system? What are they doing? Representative Custer, Democrat out of New Hampshire. Like, I tell y'all these names because I want us to get used to hearing who these representatives are, who these senators are, you know, what states they're in, so that we can become more and more knowledgeable about these bills, about who these elected officials are. So all of this, y'all, is, we're going to get real good at this in a minute. We're going to be real good at this. HR 550. I did look it up. The Public Service Act provides the legal authority for the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, among other things, to respond to public health emergencies. This act authorizes the HHS Secretary to lead federal public health and medical response to public health emergencies, determine that a public health emergency exists, and assist states in their response activities. So Public Health Service Act, PHSA, y'all. HR 551, to amend the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Act of 1981 to provide for supplemental assistance for COVID-19 relief. So I didn't know there was a Low Income Home Energy Assistance Act. There's all these acts, y'all, that we don't know nothing about, but we gonna know, y'all. We gonna be keeping up with Congress. Okay, don't end. Okay. The Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program it assists eligible low income households with their heating and cooling energy costs, bill payment assistance, energy crisis assistance, weatherization, and energy related home repairs. To be eligible for this benefit program, you must need financial assistance with home energy costs. A person who participates or has family members who participate in certain other benefit programs such as SNAP, SSI, TANF may be automatically eligible. So this is where, you know, I was thinking about what it means to be Democrats and Republicans. And when I tell you, we see a lot of social programs, y'all, a lot of social programs. And, you know, if we had reparations, we could eliminate a lot of these social programs. We could eliminate them. So, you know, when I see that, I'm leaning more like, okay, with the Republicans, like, how do we eliminate some of these social programs? How do we give people, you know, an opportunity to come out of this? Because generations and generations of us are in these programs. So again, this is HR 551, y'all. Let me see if we can make it to the end of the half hour, y'all. I'm behind the night, but we're gonna catch up here. HR 552, to ensure that a woman seeking a chemical abortion is informed that it may be possible to reverse the intended effects of the abortion if the woman changes her mind. Now, I didn't know what a chemical abortion really was, so I just started looking up. I know the pill, I knew that, but it started, you know, giving me more. It kept giving me information about medical abortion, and a medical abortion doesn't require surgery or anesthesia. So, yeah. There's a lot of abortion bills that's coming down the pipe. This is HR 552. HR 553 is to establish a program to preserve and restore jobs in the aviation manufacturing industry. Y'all, these jobs are being automated. Representative Larson out of state of Washington, y'all. HR 554 to amend the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act to prohibit the approval of new abortion drugs, y'all. Here you go again. Representative Latta out of Ohio, more abortion, lots of abortion legislation. HR 555 to amend Title 18 United States Code to prohibit the unlawful disposal of fetal remains. More abortion legislation, y'all. HR 555. HR 556 to prohibit the application of certain restrictive eligibility requirements to foreign non-governmental organizations. with respect to the provision of assistance under Part 1 of the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961. Didn't know what this was. Representative Barbara Lee out of California. What are you talking about, Barbara Lee? Because it was quite confusing. So I wanted to look it up. The Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 is to promote the foreign policy, security, and general welfare of the United States by assisting peoples of the world in their efforts toward economic development and internal and external security and other purposes. A lot of help to other nations, Representative Barbara Lee out of California, when we need it right here in these United States. HR 556, y'all. Somebody paying her. To allow HR 557, to allow a state to submit a state management decision to the Secretary of Education to combine certain funds to improve the academic achievement of students. We saw this, y'all, already on the Senate side. So what do you mean by combining certain funds? I still have a lot of questions. Representative Lesko, Republican out of Arizona. HR 558, to amend Title 18 United States Code to prohibit dismemberment abortions. They go another abortion bill, y'all. I told you, a lot of them, a lot of them. HR 559, to promote the furtherance of standards necessary to safeguard the welfare of apprentices. And Representative Levin, Andy Levin out of Michigan, safeguard the welfare of apprentices. What do you mean, the welfare? You mean as far as the working environments? I have a lot of questions because I do believe in apprenticeships, y'all. This is HR 559. HR 560, to amend Section 6 of the joint resolution entitled "A Joint Resolution to Approve the Covenant to Establish a Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands in Political Union with the United States of America." Y'all, where is the Northern Mariana Islands? I had to look it up. On the other side of China. I'm sure that China is not pleased. I don't know what this is, why this is, but I do have a lot of questions. This is Representative Sablin, y'all, Democrat, MP at large. I need to figure out what this MP at large means. I don't know who he is. But the Mariana Islands is on the other side of China. I can't believe that they will be okay with this. So again, y'all, we are keeping up with Congress. We are at the half-hour mark. I went over just a little bit tonight, but if you have not gone to our website, please do go to the website, join us, support us, withholdthevote.org. Support, be a part of what we're doing. We have our meeting on tomorrow night at 7:30. We work behind the scenes on these bills. We have 4 bills that we are addressing. We have others that we're going to take a look at. But go to the website. Please join us. Please support. We do have Cash App now. If you just want to send us a little something, please do. Like I told you, the goal for this is to take it on the road. We have to definitely get out and teach people. We got to teach how this vote is a weapon. We don't just give this away for free anymore. You don't just get this vote. We gotta make sure our elected officials earn this vote. It is not free. So again, go to the website, support our efforts, withholdthevote.org, Cash App, Withhold the Vote. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please like, please share, please spread the word, and I will see you tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, y'all. Good night, everybody.